Daring Abroad, brought to you by our friends at Remitly. Download the Remitly app to send money back home.
Hello there and welcome to the program, and we are still in the US. Today's program comes to you from Washington DC, where we covered an event on diaspora investments organized by Kenyans. But before we proceed, take a look at the highlights of what is coming up.
Why Kenyans in the US are clamoring for better investment policies back home, as One Voice Consortium holds its annual Diaspora Investment Expo in Washington, D.C.
We had 10 panel forums here.
So that diverse representation has seen members of parliament come to this function.
Kenya's ambassador to the US, Lazarus Amayo, shares opportunities available for the two countries.
Under Goa, you have direct 1,800 products that are allowed to come in duty-free.
Always a pleasure having your company. My name is Alex Chamwada, and straight to the Diaspora Expo that took place in Washington, D.C. One voice, one Kenya, one world, one mission to connect Kenya to the world. The Diaspora Expo in Washington, D.C. from 5th to 7th May 2023 was organized by One Voice Consortium, a global diaspora development foundation.
We are an umbrella organization for all the others that are in the diaspora in terms of bringing them together to improve and enhance the lifestyle of our people, both here in the diaspora, that is in US, Europe, Asia, and everywhere outside of Kenya, and also helping back our communities back in Kenya in terms of socio-economic development.
Participants in the expo came from various parts of the world, mainly from East Africa and the USA, with Kenyans in the diaspora pushing for incentives to invest back home.
It was more of trying to identify opportunities that are there for the diaspora in terms of investing back home in areas that are important for our people, especially socio-economic areas of agriculture, of banking, of education, of finance, technology, and many other sectors that are important to the development of our people.
You have everything that is needed in the market.
There were 10 panel discussions at the expo.
We started off with sectors like trade, business. We had agriculture, we had food security, we had fintech, we had small business, we had governance, we have women empowerment. All of them are all areas that are important for socio-economic development. We had a great speech and presentation by our governor, Honorable Anyang' Nyong'o of Kisumu County, encouraging remarks on areas of how we can expand the agricultural docket and especially improve food security in Kenya. Issues that we have taken very, very closely because the diaspora is just about to launch the food security consortium bond, where we are trying to put the diaspora efforts together in terms of ensuring that we have long-term solutions of food security.
Bennett Herman, Deputy Assistant U.S. Trade Representative for Africa, was the keynote speaker during the opening ceremony.
We're meeting at an important time in U.S.-Africa relations. You'll recall that last December, President Biden hosted a U.S.-Africa Leader Summit here in the District of Columbia. And the meeting showcased and reinforced our close ties with the continent.
We'll have a chance to now invest and bring your money back home.
10 members of parliament and 2 senators attended the event. They were drawn from 3 parliamentary committees, that is, the Delegated Legislation Committee, the Diaspora and Immigrant Workers Committee, and the Defense, National Intelligence and Foreign Affairs Committee. The delegation was led by Martha Wangari, who assured participants that Kenya's parliament was ready to listen to the diaspora and bridge the gap between legislation and investment back home.
And we have also educated the diaspora to tell them that the parliament of today is very responsive. You don't even need me to raise an issue. You can write directly to parliament, you can petition parliament, you can write to the clerk. If you feel an issue needs a member, you have gotten a seed of the what we call champions of the diaspora in the membership that has been represented here.
Kenya's Consul General in Los Angeles, Thomas Kwaka, commonly known as Big Ted, underscored the importance of such forums in uniting Kenyans living abroad.
As a diaspora and as a people, as a Kenyan people, East African people, we need to look for solutions in the future. Think about it. 10 years from now, what shall Kenya need? What shall East Africa need? We need to insulate our children with the future.
Kenya's ambassador to the US, Lazarus Amayo, said Kenyans living in the US have a big stake in Kenya's socio-economic development as they contribute the largest block of remittance inflows to Kenya.
Of the 4 billion that Kenya received in 2022 from the diaspora, 60% were actually from the diaspora in the United States. It's not only remittances, whether it is in promotion of trade and investment, promotion of Kenya as a tourist destination, the number of tourists that you've been able, your friends that you've gone to Kenya with, transfer of skills, and many other issues in which our diaspora here are involved in.
Kenya's Director of Cultural Diplomacy, Anne Wanjohi, read the closing remarks on behalf of Chief Guest Roselyn Njogu, the Principal Secretary for Diaspora Affairs.
The Kenyan government has implemented policies and initiatives to encourage foreign investments, to ease the process of doing business in the country. The government has also launched programs such as the Diaspora Investment Club and the Kenyan Diaspora Alliance to provide a platform for the diaspora to invest in Kenya and contribute to the country's development.
The Kenyan government, apart from allocating the diaspora rights in the constitution, is also recognizing the huge responsibilities that the diaspora has. And when we were invited to come here, it was in order to come and look at the diaspora as an asset to the Republic of Kenya.
It has been an eye-opener. You sit with the diaspora community and get to understand them, get to appreciate what they can be able to do for our country, and generate ideas on how we can be able to legislate so that we can be able to protect and preserve the interests of the diaspora community.
Tumekuja hapa ili kuona kwamba ile shida ama na matatizo ambayo huwa wanapata, tuone vile ambao tunaweza kuwasaidia sisi kama wajumbe, ili tuweze kuwaona kwamba wameweza kupatiwa nafasi ya kufanya kazi vizuri ili waendelee kuinvest kule kwetu Kenya.
Tunataka kuona ya kwamba kuna sheria muafaka ya kuweka pesa zao kisawasawa ili wakati wakirudi nyumbani pesa zao ziko sawa.
I have met very many important people. And, I think I made a lot of friends and a lot of network, and I have learned a lot from the different presentations. I have also felt that the government in many ways came closer to me. We had more than 10 members of parliament, 2 senators, we had some ambassadors, we had many other people, and we feel good. By the way, I'm the honorary ambassador of Nyeri County. I was appointed in January, and I've been doing a lot of work, so I was also representing my governor.
Exhibitors from various sectors of the economy showcased their products and services during the expo.
I'm the CEO and founder of AMG Realtors Limited, a company that is now celebrating 11 years this year, and we're in the business of buying and selling land in Kenya, and we are very keen on the diaspora market. We sell 70% of our products to Kenyans who live outside of Kenya. So we come here to come and meet them, to come and meet the different leaders, network with them, and also, of course, give them the opportunity to be able to look at our products, give us feedback of what they want and what their members are looking for and how we can serve them better.
We are the proprietor of Soil Marshals Property Developers. And the real estate now, we have been doing it for the last 20 years. We develop. At the same time, we have some plots we are also selling. That's in Naivasha, in Thika, Kiserian. Is that now we are developing a huge project called Grand Midtown Apartments. There are 600 units. They are just next to Jamhuri High School on Murang'a Road. What we normally do is that when we develop, again, we manage that property. We have a separate company which actually manages properties.
Proximity Point Group is an initiative of the Kenyan diaspora from various parts of the world, and we have 3 major points. The first one is to try and bring back our resources, our information back home. The second one is to equip our youth and enable them to enter into employability and enterprise opportunities. And the third area is to use our natural resources, our land, our beaches, and our animal conservancies to attract resources and mobilize opportunities in our country.
One of the things that happens with this event is information sharing. It could be we got information from the embassy, information from Kenya government, information from private sector like Optiven. And I want to encourage our people that every time we have this kind of events, please come attend. You can get something. You can get a point that can help you to invest back home.
The real estate has been one of the major beneficiaries of diaspora remittance inflows.
40% of our customers are diaspora, and since we began 23 years ago, we have done over 40,000 title deeds. I mean 40,000 title deeds, and 40% of those, they belong to diaspora. And I'm happy that the majority of them, you know, they are now building their homes, they are putting their tenants there, they are actually earning money from Kenya, and they are right here in the US. You don't need to migrate to Kenya. You can be able to invest in Kenya as you earn your income right here in the US of A. Optiven is here in the US. Optiven is here with you. You can be able to acquire your properties, and once you acquire the value-added plot, we are able to bid for you. We have a construction company called Optiven Homes. This company has done hundreds of homes for diaspora people. If you have no tenant, we can be able to put a tenant right there in your home, and you earn money here in America, money coming from Kenya back to the US.
The Diaspora Expo has now become an annual series, and cities in the USA will be bidding to host it. One of the consortium's member organizations is Grand Granite Circle. Jacob Ongaki, who is the vice president of the One Voice Consortium, is the treasurer and co-founder of the circle.
We are a referral-only circle. We don't really, anybody doesn't fill an application and just gets in. We have to know our members. We reject some. So we are about 300 members right now, only the diaspora here. And we have a very tough criteria because we want to know when somebody coming, what is their purpose, what's their objective. And if those objectives do not align, we don't allow those. And we don't like people who come in for different interests. They disrupted the process.
The circle is among the only Kenyan diaspora circles that have been approved by the regulator, that is, the Circle Societies Regulatory Authority, SASRA.
We contribute monthly every 10,000 Kenyan shillings every month. And actually, we started in 2020, so we are a very young circle. So right now, we are almost to about 70 million in assets. So we are making progress. And even in addition to the circle, because we did so well, we actually formed another investment society, which is a generic of a circle. So we basically have 2 entities running at the same time. One is specifically for investments, and then the other one is for savings and loans. So the circles are mostly for savings and loans. Members get loans. And the investment, members come in, they pool resources, they pay, so for example, buy a large tract of land, and then they invest together and share and spread risk. And of course, they have to share the benefits from it.
Great. You can see the passion there among Kenyans living in the US about their motherland. We now take a short break. When we return, a one-on-one interview with Kenya's ambassador to the US, Lazarus Amayo.
With Remitly, you can send money to Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and over 40 other African countries with low or no fees, so more money gets home. Loved ones can receive their money through familiar options like MTN, M-Pesa, First Bank, Access Bank, and more. Plus, an ever-expanding network of bank deposit, mobile money, and cash pickup availability. You will also get real-time transfer updates so you know where your money is through the whole transfer process. Download the Remitly app today and get a special offer on your first transfer.
Greetings everyone, my name is Martin from AMG Waters Limited and I want to welcome you at Juja Prime Phase 5 courtesy of AMG Waters Limited. We are doing the grading of the roads, the gate setup is being done as you can see, so which means that in a few weeks from now, this project will be sold out. All the amenities will be on site: electricity, water, roads access, a gate, safety and security. So this is the best place to be at Juja Prime Phase 5. Thank you for choosing to invest with AMG Waters Limited. We value you.
Own your dream home for as low as 1.98 million Kenya shillings in Vipingo, Kilifi, and enjoy a flexible payment plan of 10% on signing of the letter of offer and the balance in equal monthly installments within 18 months. Supported by world-class amenities and infrastructure, our estates offer a unique, secure environment with a wide range of outdoor facilities. SMS Vipingo to 22365 or call us today on 0740 400 215. Terms and conditions apply.
You're watching Daring Abroad, brought to you by our friends at Remitly. Download the Remitly app to send money back home.
During the Diaspora Expo by the One Voice Consortium in Washington, D.C., one of the issues that came out is the need to take consular services closer to Kenyans. Later, in a one-on-one interview, Kenya's ambassador to the USA, Lazarus Amayo, said this was a priority area as the diaspora is one of the pillars in Kenya's foreign policy and that Kenya recognizes the pivotal role that the diaspora plays in national development.
Part of the interest, especially with the new constitution, 2010, which allowed Kenyans that had lost their citizenship to regain their citizenship, and new arrivals into the US. We have a large number of Kenyans that require new generation passports. They also need new generation IDs. Currently, we only have 3 stations from where these services can be rendered to Kenyans in the US. Here in Washington, D.C., our consulate in Los Angeles, and our consulate in New York. But you'd appreciate that the United States is a large country. So in terms of distance, it's a challenge when, say, a Kenyan in Texas has to travel to DC with a spouse or a child for purposes of registration to get passport or ID.
Given the vastness of the United States, one of the methods the government is using to serve Kenyans is outreach.
The President did direct that the State Department of Diaspora and State Department of Immigration should be able to work out and think out of the box on how we can serve the diaspora more easily, be more accessible in serving the diaspora. Consequently, the PS Diaspora, Madam Roslyn Njogu, and PS Immigration, Dr. Bitok, in collaboration with the Embassy of Kenya in Washington, D.C., and the Consulate in Los Angeles and New York, mounted an exercise of consular outreach programs. We went to where there are large concentration of Kenyans, did a survey before on services that are required and at which centers. As a result, we identified 10 centers or 10 cities or urban areas where consular services were delivered to Kenyans in the month of April, where we were able to process 3,002 applications for new passports, and 1,311 identification cards. This to me was a great success because the Kenyans would have spent huge sums of money, would have spent many hours traveling and coming to the 3 centers to register.
The other issue was the need to promote diaspora's role in Kenya's socio-economic development beyond remittances.
Would like that beyond sending money to relatives, philanthropic, beyond investment in real estate, discussions have also been ongoing, and the diaspora have expressed interest also if the government could consider facilitating participation of the diaspora even in treasury bills, treasury bonds, and that regard make them participate even on our infrastructure development, even if you could go on infrastructure bonds. So what is important is discussions that can be able to bring a framework under which they can be facilitated to continue investing beyond remittance.
The ambassador said 6 pillars have been listed to guide the relationship between Kenya and the US. They include economic and prosperity pillar, democracy, governance and civilian security pillar, regional and multilateral affairs, health and climate change.
From 1964 to date, Kenya and the United States have made significant strides in their relations. If you look at the economic side, the US is now next to Uganda in terms of the top 2 export destinations for Kenyan products. In 2000, the United States gave a unilateral offer to sub-Saharan African countries to have products come into the US duty-free, quota-free, under the framework of AGOA. From that to date, Kenya has continued to be one of the major exporters under AGOA.
Textiles and apparel take the largest component of exports to the US, accounting for over 60% of the country's exports to the US.
And we're the major exporter from Africa. And major brands that are sold in the US market are actually manufactured in Kenya, both from the EPZ and outside the EPZ. The next export products that we have coming to the US and of importance to us are coffee, tea, cut flowers, mineral titanium, as well as nuts. The US, on the other hand, is exporting to Kenya largely aircraft parts, plastic, some wheat, mechanical and electrical equipment. And so what we are looking at now is ways by which we can be able, as Kenya, to diversify our export basket. The basket is limited to a few commodities. But under AGOA, you have direct 1,800 products that are allowed to come in duty-free, quota-free, in addition to 5,000 that are available under GSP. And this is the exercise that we've been working on to help create awareness of the market that exists for Kenyan export products in the US, and also to lobby and market Kenya as an investment destination of choice for American investors, and also as a tourist destination for Americans, not forgetting the fact that US in the last 5 years is the leading source market for Kenyan tourism.
Cooperation on regional and multilateral affairs has seen the US and Kenya work together to enhance peace and security in the Horn of Africa.
And in the last 2 years, Kenya and the US, during our tenure as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, were able to work closely, bringing into the forefront the priorities of Africa on maintenance of peace and security.
Still on bilateral pillars, Ambassador Amayo says US remains Kenya's largest bilateral partner on matters health.
Under what we call the Presidential Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR, the US has been a major supporter of Kenya on HIV and AIDS, or even on the President's Malaria Initiative on matters malaria, even on tackling TB and the reduction of infant and maternal mortalities. These are areas in which the US and Kenya work closely together.
As Kenya and the US mark 60 years of diplomatic ties, education remains another key area of cooperation, with the impact of airlift program still being felt beyond the borders.
In addition to pre-independence airlift and subsequent ones, where a large number of Kenyans came, studied at the universities, institutions of higher learning or universities in the US, and returned back to Kenya. From that time to date, many Kenyans that have come to study in the universities here. We have had exchange programs where students and teaching staff from Kenya come to the US, and the ones from the US also go to Kenya. This has been useful to us in terms of skills transfer, enhancing our own capacity. Those days when we started, we had just one Royal University College, which was still under the East African University. Now we have several public and private universities in Kenya. But we are happy that we have worked on encouraging and having functional arrangements on cooperation between our institutions of higher learning, particularly on matters of research and development. We must also be proud of the fact that our graduates from our high schools that have come to the United States for bachelor program and the likes do exceedingly well, both at the undergraduate and postgraduate level, which is a testimony to the good educational standards that we have in Kenya. The US still offers scholarships like the Fulbright and the Young African Leaders ones that are there for students and public servants on matters on human resource development.
Strengthening trade ties between Kenya and the US was one of the areas of discussion when President William Ruto and US President Joe Biden met at the White House in December 2022 on the sidelines of President Biden's meeting with African leaders. The president later addressed the Kenyan community in the US.
It's true, diaspora cannot just be viewed in terms of remittance. Diaspora is a whole body of Kenyans that require services. They are our best ambassadors. They have done us proud, and they deserve the best from our government.
Many thanks to Balozi Lazarus Amayo for those insights about investment opportunities between Kenya and the US. We are about to come to the end of the show, but before we call it a day, remember we've been bringing you investment opportunities by Centum Real Estate, including Two Rivers. Let's now take you to Vipingo to show you what they have there. Yes, Centum Real Estate has completed and handed over more than 500 homes in Phase 1 of Vipingo development. In Phase 2, you can own a home from as low as 1.98 million Kenya shillings with flexible payment plans. Each of the estates has reliable water supply with state-of-the-art infrastructure and amenities. With that, we've come to the end of the show. Always a pleasure having your company. My name is Alex Chamwada. Until we meet again next time, bye-bye.
Daring Abroad, brought to you by our friends at Remitly. Download the Remitly app to send money back home.